This week, the HPT is back in Michigan at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort for the granddaddy of them all, the HPT Championship Open. After 14 events all across the U.S., 14 different HPT champions, along with some of the game's elite and Michigan's finest, are here and ready to fight for the $785,000 prize pool and hope to become a champion among champions. 545 hopefuls started this main event with over $234,000 waiting for our last man standing. And as we approached our TV final table, an exciting double knockout has now left us with 5 players who are taking their seats under the national spotlight of the HPT, and only one can be the champion.
Hi, my name is Dave Goddard. I'm from White Lake, Michigan.
Hi, I'm Steven Smith. I'm from Roseville, Michigan.
My name is Phil Delaney. I'm a professional poker player. I'm from Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
My name is Brandon Barnes. I am originally from Dearborn Heights, Michigan, and I'm in second place, and I'm ready to win.
Hi, my name is Bob West. I'm an electrician from Lincoln Park, Michigan. I'm the chip leader at 4.4 million, and I plan on winning this thing.
Getting to this final table was difficult, but I'm where I'm at, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad those last 2 players got knocked out right at the end there.
My strategy is play my position, don't play any favorite hands, and just play good cards.
2 years ago today, I won $127,000 in this very room, so I'm looking to do that again and reclaim the throne.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome to the HPT, where this week we not only crown a new champion, but we also crown our Player of the Year. It is the year-end HPT Championship Open. I'm Chris Hansen, and the man to my left usually has more tequila in his veins than blood. He is Fred Bevel. So this is the HPT's Championship Open. We're in Mount Pleasant, Michigan at Soaring Eagle Casino. All of our champions from Season 7 are here, along with HPT fans from all around the country, gathering to play poker, to party, and to maybe go home with their share of a $785,000 prize pool.
Ooh, that is big. You know, the Championship Open is no secret. We have it circled on our calendar right from the beginning of the season. We always look forward to this event. And the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort is a great place to spend the weekend. And joining us in the fun this week were some of the game's elite, like Annie Duke, Kathy Liebert, Joe Sebok, Bernard Lee, and the 2009 WSOP champion Joe Cada, and HPT's ambassador and 2009 runner-up, Mr. Darvin Moon.
Now, Fred, we did have a great time while we were here, and of course a huge main event field for this Championship Open, and it really got interesting. We got down to the final table bubble. We played for a couple hours trying to get from 7 down to our TV final table, and it had short stacks doubling up, big stacks who were trying to push them around, a ton of action before we got to our televised final table.
Finally, it all came to a head with a double knockout. For only the second time in the HPT's 7-year history, we are starting our final table 5-handed instead of 6, and that tenacious short stack, he's still battling.
Fred, we've seen just as much heart as skill from these players at our final table, and the final championship of season number 7 on the line tonight. Now let's meet the 5 players who are at our final table and then get right to the action.
In seat number 1, this is Bob West from Lincoln Park, Michigan, an electrical contractor. Chris, he hasn't even called his wife to tell her that he has made this final table. He plans to use his pride money to help his kids get through college, make life a little more comfortable.
In seat number 2, this is Dave Goddard. He's 50 years old from White Lake, Michigan, and he also plans to help his kids out with college expenses with his winning here today. And he's the first person to go from the field to the final table, was out hunting this morning here in Michigan.
In seat number 3, this is one of those bubble battlers to this TV final table. He has been the short stack most of the day. This is Steven Smith. He has hung on, and he is starting this final table with just over $500,000 in chips.
In seat number 4, very familiar here at Soaring Eagle Casino and on the HPT, this is Phil Delaney, a professional poker player from Dearborn, Michigan. Phil learned the game from his grandparents and his dad, and Phil won the HPT Championship Open here in 2009, taking home over $127,000 in cash.
Rounding off tonight's final table in the 5 seat, this is Brandon Barnes from Dearborn Heights, Michigan, a professional poker player. He is sitting pretty at this final table with over $3.2 million in chips.
And a huge field this week at our Championship Open led to this huge first place prize. $234,000 will go to our winner tonight on the HPT.
As we get started tonight, Bob West is the chip leader with 42% of the chips in play. Brandon Barnes, the youngster at the table, not far behind him. Steven is the short stack, but this guy's been the short stack most of the day.
Blinds are at 50 and 100K with a 10K ante here at our final table. Brandon folds over to Bob. He will fold.
I'm all in.
Dave gets out of the way. Steven Smith is all in.
Steven with just over $500,000 in chips, not much he can do. Bets into a random hand, and unfortunately for him, Phil wakes up with a wired pair. Steven sees the bad news, and he is looking at one overcard.
No, side pocket. Side pocket.
388.
Steven started playing poker just a couple of years ago. And here Fred is hoping to get lucky against Phil Delaney. The flop is deuce 8-4 with a couple of hearts.
No, Steve hits the deuce, but it's not good enough. He's going to need another deuce or a king on the turn of the river. Steven has been on the bubble for the last 3 hours. Oh, but he is going to hang out for a little bit longer.
Wow.
And now Phil is looking for one of the 2 sevens left in the deck.
And the river is a 5, and so Steven is going to double up. And if you're Phil Delaney, you got pocket 7s, what are you going to do? That's just the way it goes.
You know, this has been Steven's day today. He's been the short stack most of the day. He was part of that long bubble battle from 7 to 6. He's been all in at least 24 times in the time we've been watching him here. He's hanging on, though.
First to act will be seat 1.
All right, Bob, our chip leader in seat 1 is first to act, 7-8. That will get folded over to Dave Goddard from White Lake, Michigan. He will fold. So does Steven over to Phil.
And the 4.
Phil's got a very recognizable face in the audience watching him play today. Michigan's own Joe Cada, the 2009 WSOP champ, a personal friend of Phil's.
Can I get a count?
And Phil's all in with Queen 9 of hearts. I'd like to ask the world champ what he thinks about that move.
Brandon Barnes in the 5 seat wakes up with ace 7 of diamonds. He's asked for a count to Phil's stack. In a 5-handed game, ace 7, not too bad. If he thinks Phil is just playing here, he might make the call. He does make the call, and he's going to see he's ahead, but Phil is alive.
Can we get a hold? A7 suited against Queen 9.
Brandon is in the lead.
I would like to ask for security. Have we checked Brandon's ID? 18 years old, playing at our final table, looking for almost $250,000 payday to maybe take this thing down here tonight. Right now, Phil Delaney just looking to stay alive. Here comes the flop. It is ace 6 ace. And that is exactly what Phil did not have in mind.
Brandon all over that flop with trip aces, and now Phil looking to get lucky with a heart. Here we go. That gives him some outs. Now Phil hoping for another heart for a flush.
Brandon in the lead right now with his
6 or 7 hearts.
Otherwise, our past HPT Tournament of Champions winner will be eliminated. Ooh, it is red, but the wrong red. It's a 9 of diamonds, and that will do it for Phil Delaney.
Phil said he was going to come out swinging at this final table, and that's exactly what he did.
All right, join down here with Phil. Phil, this is not the way you wanted this tournament to end. Now, you won this thing in 09. You get all the way back here and claw through this field of 545. What are your thoughts right now?
I'm pretty proud of myself. I mean, I haven't played a live tournament since the main event. It's pretty disappointing anytime you lose a poker tournament, whether you come in 5th or 135th or 2nd or whatever. So, all in all, I feel pretty good with the decisions I made this weekend. Played pretty well, and looking forward to the next event.
What a long day for Phil Delaney, and probably Fred, a lot of wondering what might have been for this past HPT champion. Let's take a look at our current chip count.
It is still all Bob West right now with still 45% of the chips in play. Brandon Barnes not too far behind him. Steven up the ladder a little bit, but still the short stack with a little over 800,000.
All right, let's get back to the felt where blinds are 50 and 100,000, 10K ante.
All right, so
Dave Goddard wakes up with 6-9. Easy fold.
Dave fold.
Over to Steven. He's an engineer. He's from Roseville, Michigan. He will fold.
Back to Brandon. In.
Brandon could use some smaller headphones. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Maybe an earbud next time. Those are the largest headphones that ever have to been produced.
It's like earmuffs on a baby.
It's like he has 2 speakers strapped to his head. It's literally the biggest I've ever seen. Sound quality's got to be good, though. So Brandon makes it 325,000. Bob announces a re-raise out of the big blind with ace-4.
Now that we're only four-handed, aces become more of a premium, and both these players playing them like they're big hands. He's going to re-raise back to the youngster.
1.2 million is Bob's bet.
Less than 2-1 from Brandon's money here. That makes it easier for him to fold, and the young man is going to play the math and make the fold. He's going to show Bobby who's laid down the best hand. Bob probably not going to oblige.
And Bob also shows his ace. Now, if I'm Bob, I flip over the 4, and I watch Brandon's head explode inside of those
headphones. That's
headphones.
because you're not a nice guy. Bob is.
All right, we continue on here with actions on Dave. He's a foreman for the city of Wixom, the Public Works Department.
I'm all in.
Well, the foreman is all in with ace-3 of hearts.
And now the short stack, Stephen Smith looks down at pocket 10s.
What a dream for Stephen Smith here. Easy call, sure.
A fold by Brandon.
Brandon's going to get out of the way.
We're on to Bob.
Over to Bob West, our chip leader. Queen Jack of clubs. Does he want to get involved in this pod? Now he decides to let these two battle it out. Now, Steven is ahead, and Fred, he is at risk in this hand.
Pocket 10.
Dave's got one live card in the ace. Steven hoping not to find the pointy one on the flop and double up here and stick around at this final table. The short stack that just won't go away.
On a flop.
And here comes the flop. It is deuce 3-7, so Dave makes a pair of 3s.
10 still in.
Still needs some help. Steven way ahead.
10.
10s of Steven still in. Let's go ahead, Brandon, and see the turn card.
And the turn is a 6 of spades.
One more street for Steven to survive, and he's going to double up to over 2 million in chips. Started this final table with just over $500,000.
Oh, and the river is an ace, and Steven riding that short stack all day, Fred. I'm guessing probably is going to be pretty happy with a 4th place finish, considering he could have went out 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I mean, he made a nice run here.
Tournament clock, Freddie, 4th place.
Stephen Smith does walk away with his biggest cash ever, courtesy of the HPT, and now, Fred, we're down to 3.
Bob still enjoys the chip lead with over 6.3 million in chips. Brandon not far behind him. The short stack is Dave, but he's sitting with just under 3 million. He's got some room to play.
And we start with Brandon on the 5.
$234,000 goes to our HPT Tournament of Champions winner. The Championship Open, Fred, anybody can come play in, but all the players who won an event this year got a free buy-in into this event.
The Player of the Year race was really tight coming into this as well. Over a dozen people could have had a shot at the crown this year.
Bob makes the call.
We'll announce who did win coming up a little bit later in the show.
Brandon raises it up to $275,000. Bob makes the call, and he will go to the flop ahead with his king. And the flop is King 5 Ace.
Bob hits a pair here, but Brandon, being the pre-flop raiser, might be worried about that ace. Apparently not. He's going to bet $400,000.
$400K.
Action back to Brandon
with the disproportionate headphones.
400K was the bet.
Headphones should be like any other article of clothing you wear. Make it fit. Those are like the baggy jeans versions of headphones.
I tell you what fits is right now is Brandon raising $950,000 is the bet. A little over $500,000 for Bob to call. And Bob's putting the story together in his head. Let's see. Brandon raised pre-flop. He then raises me, and then he shows me a 10. Oh, thank you very much, headphones. More poker when we come back. Stephen Smith held on for 4th place tonight here at the HPT Championship Open at Soaring Eagle, and we're still three-handed on our way to an HPT champion.
Bob West still enjoys the chip lead at 49% of the chips in play. Brandon still in 2nd place, not far behind him. Dave Goddard still the short stack, but still plenty of room to play. Action's going to start with Dave here. He's got Queen 10 of diamonds. That's what I do. Nice bet, sir. Going to make it 500,000 to go.
Dave actually was out hunting this morning. That's the first ever hunting then poker playing combination that we've ever had on the HPT.
I think I should try that. Go out, kill something, then play poker.
And look at this. Bob's applying the pressure, saying, well, how good of a hand do you have there, Dave? I'm all in.
This is the great play by Bob here. Puts Dave on the decision for his tournament life. Don't want to make a post-flop decision with ace-10 if you missed. Just get it in right away. And the big stack shows why he's the big stack. He is keeping the pressure on.
A lot of chips in front of Bob. Bob has a 9-year-old son named Nick, a daughter named Ashley, who is attending college at Wayne State University. Blinds are up.
60 and 120,000 is the new price of poker. Action starts on Dave Goddard.
He folds over to Brandon, who will limp in the small blind with 8-5. And now to Bob.
One of the few times we've seen Brandon limp.
Bob checks the option.
Bob's going to oblige and check his option. Neither player, nothing to celebrate here. Let's see who's going to out-aggress the other or hit the flop.
And the flop is Jack 7-7.
No help for either of these players. Brandon's going to go ahead and bet out 120,000.
Seems to me there's free chips out there to be grabbed, and Brandon's trying to do so. But Bob will not let him take him that easily.
Bob makes the call.
Bob is ahead with 9 high.
Bob says he credits his final table to playing smart poker and getting a little lucky when he needed it.
And the turn is a 9, and Bob pulls further ahead now with his pair of 9s.
Brandon picks up an insight straight draw, hoping to find a 6 to make his hand, but he doesn't care about making his hand. He's going to go ahead and fire another 275,000.
There's a part of me that thinks Brandon doesn't even remember that he's got 8-5. He's just betting right now, trying to take control of this pot.
Well, Brandon's certainly selling a good story here. He saw earlier with his 10-8 hand that he was able to get Bob off the best of it. Brandon trying to do it again here.
275,000 is the bet. Bob will call.
Bob is stubborn, not going anywhere. Doesn't believe Brandon has a jack or a 7.
And here comes the river. It's a queen of diamonds, so Bob's got the best hand. Only way he can lose is if he folds. And Brandon's first to act again.
475.
And Brandon fires the third bullet. 475,000 this time.
I'll give it to the kid. He's persistent, and his bets are perfectly sized that each one of them seems like I'm trying to squeeze every inch out of this that I can with that 7 that I had in the small blind.
And that's a great scare card on the river, too. It puts another diamond up there. It's another overcard.
Pump fake.
Whoa!
Bob announces.
Didn't see that
Say
coming.
cards forward and take them back and then say raise.
You have to ask your.
No, I didn't.
He never
So
released
you
his
can go like
cards.
this and take them back.
He got him. He had the cards in his hand. He didn't.
All right, some question about what's going on here with Bob and his cards. Bob did have his cards in his hand, and according to Brandon, thought he was making a motion that he was going to fold, but then put him back down and announce raise. The floor has decided that that is just fine, that it's legal. And it looks like Brandon's not too happy about that as Bob announced raise and Brandon folded.
Well, I don't think Brandon was going to make a call after that re-raise there from Bob, but doesn't like the decision from the floor either way. The floor's decision stands.
We're getting to know more about Bob and Brandon by how they play, but right now time to learn more about the other man in this three-handed battle, Dave Goddard.
Hi, my name is Dave Goddard. I'm from White Lake, Michigan. I'm the foreman for the City of Wixom Department of Public Works. Winning $234,000 will help my 3 daughters out in college by getting books and taking care of cars and all the other stuff they need, they short notice in school. Definitely get a new vehicle, because right now I keep my 3 girls' vehicles running and I let my vehicle be second best. So that would be a new vehicle, pay off some bills, and have a lot of fun.
Another guy that it seems like the HPT was created for, Dave Goddard.
I'm not mad at you.
Brandon's ready to go. He's got ace, queen.
320.
Raise on the button. 320,000. Over to Bob. Bob's got queen. King of hearts.
Oh, that's my hand right there.
No way Bob's folding here. I wonder out of the small blind if he's going to try to get tricky.
Well, Brandon and Bob, obvious history here. He is going to raise it up.
This is a raise.
$2 million.
And that's a big raise. Makes it $2 million. Brandon goes all in. Bob calls. And here we go, Fred.
This is the battle Brandon has been hoping for. He not only has the best of it right now, Chris, he's got Bob crushed.
All right, so Brandon is at risk. Here we go. Let's see the flop. The flop is 7, 4, 5, ace, queen, still ahead.
Ace of diamonds.
Brandon pointing out the diamonds. He's got those going for him, but doesn't need them. He just needs to fade the king, and he is going to have a huge double up here.
And the turn is another 5.
And it's just a king for Bob on the river. Otherwise, he is going to double up Brandon, and he is not a guy you want to give a lot of chips to.
Go ahead and see the river card.
And here we go. The river is an 8, and wow, just like that, the chip lead that Bob West had is now gone, and it belongs to Brandon Barnes. The 18-year-old poker pro from Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Fred seemed to be waiting for his spot. He found it, doubles up, and is now our chip leader. More poker when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen, and it's time for our Pro Tip of the Week with 2004 World Series of Poker main event champion, the Fossil Man, Greg Raymer. Tonight, Greg discusses when it's time to say, enough is enough, and stand up to that big stack bully at your table.
Let's talk about standing up to the aggressive opponent. Now, first, let me say this. If this aggressive opponent is a skilled and tight, solid aggressive opponent, there's probably no good reason to take a stand. If you take a stand, it should just be because you have a hand that's so strong that even against this tight player's range, you're the favorite. And now you're just playing your hand for value. But what if you have a looser opponent who's very aggressive? Well, at some point, you do need to take a stand. And maybe you're just not getting dealt any good cards, so you can't do it on the strength of your hand alone. What do? Well, really, you just find a spot where he cannot sensibly play back at you without actually having the good hand this time. So this is going to be particularly true if your stack gets short enough that you find a situation where it's appropriate for you to shove all in. And now, because you've been playing tight, it's going to be very believable that you have a strong hand. And since you've shoved all in, he can't call hoping to outplay you later in the hand. He can only call because he thinks he's getting the right price, that his hand will win against your range of hands often enough to justify the call. So you just have to wait for the right situation or good enough cards, and then hit that bully back and don't give him a chance. Make sure you're the one who goes all in first. Force him to either call for all the chips or fold.
So Brandon is our new chip leader, 6.5 million in chips, and Greg just talked about standing up to the aggressor. Didn't work so well for Bob that time. He loses his chip lead, but Fred, these two still have a lot of the chips that are in play. Matter of fact, only 7% left for Dave Goddard in the 2 seed.
Yeah, Dave just under $1 million in chips, needs to get a big hand quick.
And we start with...
He's pretty much got an auto call stack with these two guys next to him. Bob's going to sit this hand out. Here's Dave's chance. He's going to get all in, and why not? A7 suited.
He asked for a count. Brandon in C5 asked for a count. Dave's chips after his all-in raise.
Brandon finds out the inventory is a little under $1 million in chips. He's already invested for $120,000.
King 6, though, is the problem. Do you like to try to eliminate a player, or do you want to just keep the shorty short?
Well, you double him up. He's now sitting at under $2 million in chips. He doubles up again. Now he's just under $4 million in chips.
980,000, Fred, is the all-in. 980.
I can't talk, can I?
Excuse me?
Can I talk during the hand?
You can talk.
Okay.
What do you have to say, kid? The floor is yours.
You have like Queen Jack? You shoved really fast. I call.
Brandon does make the call, and he's going to find out he's live, and I'm sure that's just all he was hoping for.
Clubs, King of Hearts, 6 of clubs. For Brandon in the 5.
So Dave Goddard, the 50-year-old from White Lake, Michigan, going to try to survive and double up here. And Freddie is going to the flop ahead.
Currently in the lead, going up against the King of Hearts, 6 of clubs. Let's go ahead and see a flop, please.
6-6-2.
And here we go. The flop is 10-9-8 with 2 diamonds.
Well, Dave has an open-ended straight draw. He was already ahead with ace high. Brandon has a gut shot straight draw. He's hoping to find a 7.
The turn is a jack of diamonds.
And that's going to give Dave the straight, but Brandon not done yet. A queen on the river would make him the winner and eliminate Dave.
And the river is a 5 of diamonds, and so Dave is going to double up. I don't know. Some people might say that's a questionable call from Brandon. You know, when you got this many chips, Dave really hadn't been much of a player. It had been pretty much all Bob and Brandon back and forth. He thought, you know what, let's try to get him out here. Let's get everyone a little bit more money. Didn't work out that time out of the big blind.
I think it was a fine call from the chip leader there. I think he got exactly what he thought he was going to have, was 2 live cards, just couldn't get lucky.
Seat of Bob in the small blind. Bob's going to make the call.
Bob's going to make the call with ace 4. And look at Dave. He's going to get them all in with ace 9.
Yeah, I want to play poker too. Dave Goddard getting all of his chips in the middle, and he gets a call from Bob. And look at this. Dave is going to be ahead.
Okay, the tail.
Dave's got a big lead on this hand. The only live card for Bob is the 4.
Ace 4 for Bob, and the 1 going up against ace 9.
And I tell you what, you know, it wasn't too long ago that the youngster doubled him up to just under $2 million. If Dave can hang on here, he's going to have just under $4 million. We got a contender.
Here we go. The flop is Jack 6.
Aside from a 4 coming on the flop, a paired board would probably be the second thing Dave didn't want to see here.
Let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
And the turn is a queen. So Dave's ace 9 is still ahead, but there is a good possibility we're going to end up in a chop on the river.
All right, Jason, let's see that river card.
And here comes the river. It is a 7, and Dave is going to win with ace 9. And Fred, you'd said it earlier when he had just under $1 million in chips. He can double up now, get under 2, double up again. Look at this, Fred. He now has over $3 million in chips, and he is making his presence known with these other 2 big stacks at our final table.
Boy, that's tournament poker for you. Things can change in just a couple of hands, and the dynamics have gotten a little bit different here. Now Dave has a threatening stack. These other 2 are going to step cautiously around him.
And here we go. Dave has got the gloves off. He's ready to fight now. Ace 9 in the small blind makes it $500,000. Over to Brandon.
Brandon here with ace 10 suited.
It was about $3 million. I'm all in.
Oh, boy.
Here
Brandon
we go.
moves all in. Dave calls with ace 9. And Fred, unfortunately, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander here. It makes you laugh and cry seconds apart from one another. Ace 9 was a great hand just a second ago, but now Fred, it is dominated by ace 10.
Just crushed. Absolutely crushed. Dave only with 1 live card here.
All right, Jason, let's go ahead.
I'll take a shot, but I still want to lose to you.
And here we go. The flop is Jack 8-6.
9 of diamonds.
Well, some running cards to help that 9 fill in a straight, or a 9 is all that Dave has to hope for here.
Yeah, that'd be a foul. Let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
And the turn is a 4.
4 of spades on the
One
turn,
of the 3
so
9s in the deck have to
of
pop out on the river here, or Dave is gone.
on this hand. Jason, let's go ahead and please see that river
And the river is a king. And so Brandon is going to eliminate Dave Goddard, the 50-year-old foreman for the city of Wixom, Michigan, is going to leave us in 3rd place. And Fred, he kind of was the odd man out here. He didn't have a lot of chips, but Fred, he made it to 3rd place at our final table. Another fun year of events on the HPT, and all of our champions were here this week, not only for the champions party that we had on Thursday night, but also, Fred, they were here to try to take their shot at Player of the Year.
And this year, it was really wide open. Over a dozen people had a shot at winning the HPT's biggest crown, the person who did the best all season long. And as this big field dwindled and past champions got knocked out along with other contenders, one man stood above the rest.
And that gentleman is Scott Hastings, our Season 7 HPT Player of the Year. He had a win and another deep cash, almost making another final table. And so Scott is going to get free qualifier buy-ins through all of Season 8. He's a familiar face you better get to know on the HPT. So congratulations to all our champions and to Scott Hastings, our Season 7 Player of the Year. And Fred, it's now the moment that we've been waiting for all weekend. Over 500 players in this main event, and we're now heads up for this HPT championship here at the Championship Open. It's Bob and Brandon for a large chunk of money.
Yeah, and these two have been fighting it out all night long at this final table. Bob has had the chip lead most of the night, but right now Brandon's got the best of them, but just by a few million. The blinds are 60 and 120,000, so Chris, you know as well as I do, the chip lead can swing with any pot here.
Bob has moved over to seat number 2, and he has announced a raise with King 3 of Hearts. 400,000 is the bet. Brandon remains in seat number 5. He's got 9-10 of clubs. Brandon, just 18 years old, playing for $234,000.
Hopefully he'll grow into those headphones one day.
I think when I was his age, I was working for $100 a week.
I was his age. I didn't have a job.
Here we go. The flop is 7-8 Queen. Brandon flops the open-ended straight draw and checks.
Bob quickly checks behind.
All right. And boom, no waiting. Brandon turns the straight, but there are now 3 diamonds on the board.
Brandon's going to wager $650,000. I can't imagine he's getting any action from Bob here. Sitting on just king high, no pair, no draw. But hey, I've been wrong many a time here on the HPT. It does look like Bob is getting some chips.
Bob's an electrician from Lincoln Park, Michigan, who didn't even call his wife to tell her that he had made the TV final table.
Those electricians are quirky people.
Coming home with a big pile of money. Where'd that come from? I was wiring a house. That's what happened.
Well, Bob is smooth called Brandon here on the turn, and that's got to raise some caution flags for Brandon.
The river is a deuce, and I think maybe Bob was going to be looking for another diamond on the river to bluff with, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And now Brandon with his straight is going to bet 2 million chips.
Brandon not scared of anything with that bet. It would take an all-in bet for Brandon to even think about Bob having a flush. That river bet tells me Brandon is not worried about the flush at all.
And Bob is going to have to lay it down. And so Brandon is going to take the first pot of heads up.
And we start with Brandon in seat number 5.
Oh, the blinds are now up 75 and 150,000 with a 20K ante.
And Brandon Barnes wakes up with mom and dad, king, queen.
300,000.
Going to make it 300,000 to go.
We go over to Robert.
All right.
So Bob announces a raise with ace-5 offsuit.
$1
million. $1 million's the bet.
1 million.
I'm all in.
To re-raise.
Whoa, Brandon quickly goes all in. Bob quickly calls. And I got to be honest, Chris, I didn't think this would be the 2 hands we saw go to war for the HPT championship. Ace-5 against king-queen.
I just took a sip off my soda. What did I miss?
Wow, a lot. A whole lot.
Well, here we go. Bob's tournament life on the line. The flop is ace, deuce, deuce.
Bob hits the ace and pulls way ahead in this hand, and now Brandon looking for running cards here to try to pull this off.
Goes in the lead on the hand.
Give me a sweat at least.
Let's go ahead and please see the turn card.
And the turn is a 5, and that's it. Brandon's drawing dead on the river, and just like that, Fred, Bob is now our chip leader once again at this final table. Wow, the things that can happen in No Limit Poker when 3 seconds go by.
All right, so the
All right, so Bob is first to act here. He's got 10, 9 of spades.
I call.
He's going to limp in on the button.
Call.
And now to Brandon.
Whoa.
Pocket aces.
Is that what I thought I saw?
You did see pocket aces, Freddie.
That is a nice stroke of good cards.
He raised it to 600,000. Back to Bob.
Brandon's going to raise.
He's got certified ace crackers with suited connectors.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
And we go back to Bob.
Brandon's going to get what he wants. He made it just enough to keep Bob in this hand. Brandon's wired aces going against suited connectors here, heads up.
Brandon with a big hand is going to try to get all the chips out of Bob that he can, but for that to happen, he needs Bob to catch something on this flop. Otherwise, pocket ace is going to go to waste. Here we go. The flop is 9, 3, 7. There's a spade and a 9 there for Bob.
And Bob flops top pair. Brandon checks over to him, gets what he wants. Bob moves all in. Brandon snap calls and finds out he is in a right position to double up and take over the chip lead.
Well, it's like we scripted it out for him. We said Bob had to catch something on this flop for him to get more money, and he did. The turn is a queen, but now it's down to a 9 or a 10 for Bob on the river.
Let's go ahead and see the river, Brandon.
And the river is a 6, and Brandon is now going to take the chip lead back.
And
Fred, I hope you don't have reservations tonight because we might be doing this a while here at this final table.
Boy, both these players not holding anything back. They're both going for the kill in every hand, and this time it went Brandon's way.
This is the kind of poker that is super fun to watch. You get to a lot of final tables. You know, you got some very cautious players. These two guys are right at it.
Caution out the window here. Brandon's going to make the call with Jack 8. Bob's going to oblige and check with Jack 9. It's almost like both these players taking a little breather.
Yeah, okay, let's catch our breath here after that last hand. The flop is 9, 6, 10.
Well, it's a little bit for everybody. Bob flops a pair. Brandon flops an open-ended straight draw.
Bob checks. Brandon bets 350,000. Well, Bob has moved all in, and now the action is on Brandon.
Brandon wants to know how much it's going to cost for this HPT championship. If the price is right, he will make the call. He's got a monster draw. He might consider his jack live. Right now, Bob does have the best of it with second pair, but he's going to have to fade a lot if Brandon can pull the trigger. And he cannot. It's too much for Brandon to call. He's going to fold and wait for a better spot.
Get the feeling that Brandon says, listen, I got this chip lead. I'm not letting him get away this time.
Boy, you're right about that. I don't think either one of these players want to give the other an inch.
Another great year of the HPT coming to an end. Season 7, a huge success. We had our first $1 million prize pool. We had our biggest championship open ever. And things are only going to get bigger in season number 8 here on the HPT.
Brandon Barnes, 71% of the chips in play. Bob has enjoyed the chip lead most of the night. Right now he's on the ropes with just under $4 million in chips. Blinds remain at 75 and 150 with a 20K ante.
All right, Bob goes to the cards. Ace, queen offsuit.
Pretty good hand in my book.
Absolutely. Announces a raise.
Bob announces a raise.
500,000 is the bet.
I'm all in.
Brandon goes all in with pocket fives, and Bob calls. Fred, here we go. These two, they don't have gloves on. Right now they've got brass knuckles on, and they're pounding each other. I love it.
We're going to need to put a cage around these guys if these kind of hands keep popping up. Brandon ahead right now with his wired pair, but Bob with ace-queen. If Brandon's fives can hold on, he is the newest HPT champion.
The flop is 4, 9, 8, pocket five, still good. 2 cards away from $234,000 for Brandon Barnes.
Randy, let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
And the turn is another 4.
Bob West hoping to find an ace or a queen on the river. Otherwise, the 18-year-old poker pro is going to take down this event.
Brandy, can we please see the river?
And the river. It's a queen! It is a queen on the river, and it is a double up for Bob. Brandon that close to cashing a $234,000 check, but instead He's going to have to sit back down. There is more poker to be played here on the HPT at our final table. How about that?
Whoa. Well, Brandon took that like a champ. He just kind of saw the card hit, sat back down in his seat and said, I got some more work to do. Right now, Bob is in the driver's seat, sitting at about over $6 million in chips.
He makes it $650,000, does Bob, with 9-6 offsuit. Brandon makes the call with Queen 9 of diamonds.
Brandon going to this flop ahead.
All right, here we go. Again, over $1 million in chips already in the pot. The flop is 5 ace queen rainbow.
Well, Brandon gets the best of this. He flops the queen. Bob has nothing here. Brandon checks over to him.
Robert bets $450,000.
$450,000 is the bet coming from Bob.
The bet by Bob.
I'd like to see a smooth call by Brandon here. There we go. Smooth call. Make this pot a little bigger. Give Bob a little bit more rope.
The dealer brings the chips in and is ready to give us a turn.
The turn is a 4 of diamonds. Brandon checks again.
Brandon is going to go ahead and check. We go over to Robert.
$1 million.
And Bob, with absolutely nothing here, bets $1 million. Brandon is going to re-raise all in.
Well, Brandon did also pick up the flush draw on the turn. The only thing Brandon really be scared of would be the ace. Bob is going to fold, and there we go. Brandon picking up a big pot once again.
Over 8 million chips in that pot.
1 minute, Don.
Yikes. Swing for the chip lead over to Bob. Let's swing it back over to Brandon. Let's give it back to Bob for a while. And now it's Brandon stacking the chips. Pocket 10s this time.
And he will limp in.
I'm all in.
Bob makes it $1 million. Brandon goes all in. Bob calls with King Jack. And Fred, here we go again.
I need a seatbelt. I need some oxygen.
Can I get a towel?
Brandon is ahead with the wire 10s. Bob, 2 overcards, is going to look to get lucky to stay alive here. Otherwise, again, Brandon is on the door of being the next HPT champion.
In the lead. Brandy, may I please see the flop?
And here we go. The flop is 4-8 Jack. Bob has come from behind again. No waiting till the river this time. He now pulls ahead on the flop.
Now Brandon in a big hurt, about to lose a ton of chips, hoping to find a 10.
And the turn is another 4. So Brandon is searching for one of the last 2 10s in the deck to eliminate Bob and take down this HPT championship.
All right, Brandy.
And here comes the river. It is a 9, and so Bob West from Lincoln Park, Michigan is going to double up again. And once again, Brandon's going to ship a huge stack of chips over Bob's way. And now Brandon is the one who has to try to mount the comeback yet again.
Oh, you got to feel for Brandon. 2 hands, he got it in good. Both hands he's lost, and now it's all Bob. I mean, Brandon really, in relation to the blinds, is down to almost nothing.
Bob moves all in with ace-5. Brandon calls with ace-8. Here we go.
Brandon again is ahead, this time dominating. Bob only 1 live card with the 5, but you can hear Brandon giving a good game here to Bob. The way he's been running, he's expecting to lose.
Let me have a chance, you know.
It's out of my hands, brother.
And the flop is 10 deuce 4.
Well, Brandon's still ahead with his ace-8, but Bob picks up a few outs here. Now the 5 is still live, but he also picks up a 3 for a gut shot straight draw.
Here comes the turn. It is a queen.
Bob's hoping to find a 3 or a 5 on the river here.
Yeah, do that.
And the river. It is a 3! And a 3 comes on the river to give Bob the wheel, and season 7 of the HPT ends in dramatic fashion. Boy, you got to feel for Brandon Barnes. Got it in good so many times, but just couldn't hold on. And in the end, our season 7 HPT Championship Open winner is Bob West.
Thanks so much, Chris and Fred. This is the best part of the program because I am now standing next to our newest HPT champion. His name is Bob West. And joining me is Don Morrow from Soaring Eagle Casino Resort. He was our tournament director, did a great job all week. Now, he's got the $234K in his hand, but you're not getting off that easy. We got to do a quick interview. Man, what a final table it was. Back and forth.
Yeah.
Talk about the play.
It was exciting. I mean, it was aggressive early. It stayed aggressive. a couple missed plays, from everyone, but I just got real lucky and pulled it off. It was just, the players are great. BB was the man. He was really tough, heads up. And I just got lucky. I caught some cars, caught some breaks, and got lucky.
All right, Don, with no further ado, let's pay him his $600 back, plus a little more. That looks like $234K plus.
Right.
Now, the cash is in your hand.
All right.
You made it through a monster field.
Right.
And I want to tell you, this isn't a dream. This is real. That's yours.
Thank you. I just want to say, I'm excited. I just want to say I love my kids, Nick the Brick West, Ashley, Ash Cakes, Jackie, I love you, and I'm coming home, getting a little emotional.
Putting a cap on another great HPT Championship Open here at Soaring Eagle Casino, and congratulations to Bob West officially taking down our biggest HPT Championship Open to date. Now, do you think you've got what it takes to sit at our final table and win unreal cash? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com to find out about our upcoming events all over the country. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I'm Chris Hansen. We'll see you next time right here on the HPT.